Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started.
WWE has shared unseen footage of Jimmy Uso acknowledging Roman Reigns during the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match. Jimmy entered the match at number 10 and Reigns at number 16. Jimmy and Reigns reunited at the Bad Blood 2024 Premium Live event when the multi-time tag team champion helped his OG Bloodline stablemate during a tag team match. Jimmy and Reigns proceeded to team up with the rest of the OG Bloodline and CM Punk in the Men's War Games match at Survivor Series 2024. On Instagram, WWE shared the footage of Jimmy acknowledging Reigns mid-match, as he entered alongside Paul Heyman. Though Jimmy was struggling to stand, he made sure to pay his respect to the OTC. Rikishi commented on Jimmy Uso's future after Jey Uso's Royal Rumble win. Jey Uso won the 2025 Men's Royal Rumble match and will headline WrestleMania 41. His brother and long-term tag team partner, Jimmy Uso, has also been focusing on his singles career on SmackDown. According to their father, Rikishi, Jimmy should stick to competing as a singles wrestler. Speaking on the Off the Top podcast, he said, "I would like to see Jimmy get his singles run. We're so used to seeing the boys in a tag team competition, and they conquered that. So, it's exciting to see both of them, Jey doing his thing," Rikishi continued. "And I would really like to see Jimmy do his thing. It depends on what his plan is. Right now we're all just excited for the one guy right now. And that's Jey." Jimmy was in action against Drew McIntyre and LA Knight on this week's WWE SmackDown. Unfortunately for the OG Bloodline member, he failed to qualify for the Men's Elimination Chamber match, as McIntyre emerged victorious. Royal Rumble 2025, the road to WrestleMania begins. The Royal Rumble, known for its high-stakes drama and shocking moments, was no different this year. The electric atmosphere at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, was palpable, with over 40,000 fans filling the arena. The Royal Rumble match itself was an intense battle, filled with unexpected alliances, betrayals, and the relentless pursuit of a coveted spot at WrestleMania. However, what truly stole the show wasn't just the outcome of the match, it was the compelling behind-the-scenes moment involving Roman Reigns and his cousin, Jimmy Uso. WWE cameras, always on the lookout for unforgettable moments, captured an unseen exchange between Roman and Jimmy right after the Rumble match concluded. It's a conversation that went under the radar at the time, yet the backstage footage reveals the complexity of their relationship. This conversation, more than any words exchanged, painted a picture of Roman's dominance, Jimmy's internal struggle, and a brotherhood on the brink of collapse. A kingdom shaken. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, stood tall, once again with his arms raised high in victory. The Universal Champion, who had held his reign for over 1,000 days, wasn't just looking to extend his dominance. He had his sights set on a bigger challenge, WrestleMania. As he exited the ring, sweat dripping from his brow, his cold, calculating gaze never left the screen. But there was something different about this moment, a sense of unease, a slight crack in his ironclad composure. Behind him, his cousin Jimmy Uso limped toward the curtain. The two had been at odds in the months leading to this moment. Jimmy, once a loyal follower of Roman, had begun to question his role in the bloodline. The pressures of being the enforcer, of being subjugated by Roman's dominance, had started to wear on him. Yet, when the Royal Rumble ended, Jimmy was right there, in the shadows, watching as Roman continued to solidify his place as the most powerful figure in WWE. The tension was unmistakable. The quiet before the storm. Backstage, WWE cameras caught Roman pacing back and forth, his mind racing with the events of the night. He was supposed to be celebrating. He had just retained his title and put on yet another clinic in the ring, leaving fans in awe of his strength and ruthlessness. However, as his handler, Paul Heyman, kept up with his rapid steps, Roman's eyes flickered to the door. There, standing in the distance, was Jimmy Uso. "Hey, Uso," Roman called out, his voice low and commanding, though laced with an underlying frustration. The sound of Roman's voice sent a ripple through the room. Those who had gathered nearby sensed something brewing but remained at a distance, unwilling to draw attention to themselves. Jimmy took a deep breath and walked forward, the weight of his decision apparent in his slow movements. As he reached Roman, their eyes locked for a brief moment. The silence hung heavy between them before Jimmy spoke up. "I did what I had to do, Roman," Jimmy said, his voice carrying a mix of defiance and respect. "But this whole thing, it's becoming too much for me. I've always followed you, always had your back, but I can't keep living in your shadow. Roman paused, his lips curling into a half-smile. The smile was cold and unreadable. He stared at Jimmy for a long while, taking in the words. This was a moment he'd been waiting for, a challenge to his authority, but it wasn't the one he had expected. "You don't get it, do you?" Roman's voice grew darker, more intense. "I'm doing this for our family, for the tribe. I'm the tribal chief, Jimmy. I carry the weight of our legacy on my shoulders, and I can't afford to let anyone, especially you, start questioning me now." Jimmy stepped back, his posture defensive, though not entirely hostile. He wasn't afraid of Roman, but the tension was unmistakable. "I never questioned you before, but that was when you had respect for us. For me, for Jay, for the family. But now it's like you're pushing us all aside for your own glory. For your WrestleMania." The words stung more than Roman would admit, and for a moment, his eyes softened. But the facade of the tribal chief quickly took over again, like a mask slipping back into place. "I'm doing this for us, Jimmy. For the bloodline," Roman said, his voice calm but firm, each word deliberate. "You wouldn't understand the weight of this. You think this is about the titles, about me being the champion. It's not. It's about power. It's about keeping everything we've built intact." Jimmy was silent, his jaw clenched as he searched for the right words. He had once been part of that world, and yet he felt himself slipping further away from it. "I don't know anymore, Roman. I don't know if I'm part of the bloodline if all I'm doing is playing second fiddle." Roman took a step closer, his towering figure intimidating in the confined space of the locker room. "Second fiddle? Jimmy, I'm carrying us all. Do you think you could have done this without me? Do you think anyone else could have led like I did?" The confrontation, which had been simmering for months, reached its boiling point. "I'm not trying to lead," Jimmy replied, his voice rising, the simmering anger finally escaping. "I'm trying to survive in this damn family. I'm trying to remember what it was like when we fought together, side by side. When we didn't just follow you because you said so, but because we believed in what we were doing. Now? I don't know what we're doing anymore." Roman's face darkened. "You think you're the only one who's sacrificed, huh? You think I've wanted to carry this burden alone? You think I'm some villain for doing what's necessary to protect us all?" Jimmy swallowed, his own emotions starting to surface. He had stood by Roman through thick and thin, but there was a limit. "Maybe I believe in family more than I believe in your legacy, Roman. And maybe, just maybe, that's where you've gone wrong." Roman looked at him, the air in the room crackling with tension. For the briefest of moments, Jimmy saw a flicker of doubt in Roman's eyes. But it vanished quickly, replaced by the steely resolve that had made him the champion he was. "You don't understand, Jimmy. You never will." Jimmy's hands balled into fists, the battle within him raging. He wanted to walk away, but something kept him rooted in place. "Maybe not. But I'll figure it out. For me." Just as Jimmy turned to leave, Roman called out to him one final time. "Don't make me do something I'll regret. You may be my cousin, Jimmy, but this is bigger than us." Jimmy stopped but didn't turn around. His voice barely a whisper, filled with a quiet strength. "I'm not scared of you, Roman. Not anymore." Roman watched him leave, the gravity of the situation settling in his mind. He was the tribal chief, the undisputed champion. He had the power, the titles, the respect of the WWE Universe. But what he had just lost was something he had taken for granted: family. A moment of reflection. As Jimmy left the locker room, WWE's unseen footage continued to roll. Roman stood there in silence, staring at his own reflection in the mirror. He had dominated WWE for so long, vanquishing all challengers in his path, but now, this was something different. He wasn't sure how to fix it. Paul Heyman, who had been watching from the doorway, stepped forward cautiously. "My tribal chief. Perhaps it's time we consider the bigger picture. Your power. Your legacy. It could all crumble if you're not careful." Roman's gaze never left the mirror. "I don't need advice, Paul. I need Jimmy back on my side." The camera lingered on Roman's face as his expression shifted from frustration to contemplation. He was the king of WWE, but even kings had their doubts. For now, the world would watch Roman Reigns, but it was unclear whether his kingdom, the bloodline, could hold together much longer. The question on everyone's mind was simple: could Roman Reigns keep his family intact, or was his reign destined to unravel at the hands of the ones who had once stood beside him?